you saw any of them, but they're super casual. I think
Perfect.
it's no secret that I love alliteration. And, I'll say things like aspects of aging is informally informational. It's a casual collaboration. So informational to some people is wonderful. That's what I want. I want how to, I want practical. And to others, it's like, okay, I'll listen for a minute, but then I'm out. So I try to make it so informal that I don't research my people way that much ahead of time, unless it's a situation where I feel like I need to make sure that there's someone else on the screen who's singing harmony to the same song as this person. And I kind of want to know ahead of time. But I feel privileged that I understand end of life as far as having another person come in that probably isn't one of the people going through the loss and grieving process in this instance. That person who is reclining, who is maybe experiencing discomfort, etc. I feel like I've been around this a bit now, and I have done a little research on being a doula. So I was just like, wow, EOLD. She is totally going to be on my screen, and I'm just going to say it again: end of life doula, because there will always be someone who goes, well, they've already lost me because they're talking about ROI and SEOs and blah, 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 it's business. And it's like, no, this is one person puts it as your final act of living. It is that last action. And especially when it's imminent, more than one person knows that it's coming, or you have received certainty medically that this is something that's on its way. So an end-of-life doula, you can tell me anything. We've got 58 minutes.
Actually, I appreciate that. And it's exactly as it should be. So I have gone to the Doula Givers Institute based out of New York. It was a certification program, 12 weeks long. I had to get 30 hours of bedside experience before I was allowed to get my certificate. I had to take a test to get my certificate and pass with a certain score. So I'm very privileged to be able to add that to my experience as a registered nurse. So what a doula from Doula Givers Institute, what our role is to fill the gaps of hospice. So hospice is a beautiful program. I work for them. And
I'm like RN,
yeah,
hospice, doula. I'm wondering what else you juggle.
my family.
Yes.
My roommate said the other day, "Do you work every day?" I said, "Well, yeah, sort of." So an end-of-life doula can come into the situation long before a terminal diagnosis has been given. Because a doula
And I'm not sure what happened, but I'm thinking that Scott is seeing the same thing I'm seeing.
Yeah, their screen went dark and silent, went silent, then dark. We'll see if she rejoins us. Here we go. Looks like she's coming back in.
Oh,
Must be
good.
internet
It's that swirl.
issues that
Oh,
happen from
internet.
time to time. So
Yeah, she wasn't moving about, so I didn't think that she unplugged anything. And this is not why I go live, but this is part of going live. I was told on my very first episode, and I'll remind you to go ahead and keep your phone in front of you in case she sends you a message or tries to call you, to go, hey, how do I jump back in? The very first episode, which was 3 years and 1 day ago, that I went live with a group of people. The one gentleman who was dealing with cancer said, I don't consider it aging. I consider this living, because that was his goal, was to continue aging. And people know that tuned into the 100th episode that he became completely cancer-free. And it was an entire wonderful, amazing conversation on having a live liver donor make that possible for him after the cancer had been eradicated from the rest of his organs. The liver was the tough one, and both he and she are doing great. And Veronica, we see and hear you. We knew you were coming back one way or another. We knew you were coming back. And you were telling us, what does a doula do?
Right.
And how you are certified, and you had the 30 hours bedside. And I'll just let you start wherever you would like.
So what I was trying to do before I was so rudely interrupted by my telephone was that I get to come into the situation before the terminal diagnosis has been given. So I can be there as the decline begins. So we get all of the ducks in a row before things start to happen, so that they get support from the beginning, not waiting until the middle or the end. And so I can help them talk to their doctor, to tell their doctor they're just not feeling like they should. What's going on? Let's do or don't investigate this. And just be a strength for them as they approach getting their advance directive written, getting their funeral arrangements made. If you get your funeral arrangements made before you're so sick that you're putting that extra burden onto your loved ones, as you're already dead, and you're saying, you take care of it. Well, they don't know what you want. You can guide them a little bit better if you can tell them what you want, so that they don't feel guilty that they didn't do enough. We can't burden that on somebody else. Giving them the options of what's available out there. If they choose a green burial, let's look into what your options are. In California, I have a few extra options that some states don't have. And although everyone says, well, I'm going to scatter Joe's ashes in the ocean myself, well, that's really not legal. And scattering them in Central Park is not legal. And, you get into these situations where those cremains don't belong there. So finding the proper disposal outlet is a better journey. And so one of the things that so while I'm going to school, they expect you to do all these things, right? So I did pre-plan. So I was 63 at the time. I'm paying I have a payment plan that's reasonable, and my family's not going to have to take care of it. I can hang up on all those telemarketers that are telling me California just passed a program that'll give you free burial. Well, yeah, how many strings are attached to that one? And you can't tell them you have everything already done. They don't listen to that. It's just a bot. But
Yeah.
but it's taken that weight off the shoulders of my family, and I think that's so important to me. And the fact that it'll already be paid for. And my mother-in-law tried her best. She had a little $5,000 thing that she was sure was going to take care of everything. No, it didn't. And especially now, that was 20 years ago, and probably 25 now. And especially now, when the costs have gone up exponentially. I was just with the funeral home that said, "Oh yeah, come quick. The prices are going up in September." It's like, really? But if you want to get in at that lower level, yeah, come now. So one of those catch 22s. But it's better to get this pre-planned.
Oh, her phone probably rang again.
Ah,
Oh, there you go. We're back.
Oh, you just hung up on them. I'm
yes.
sorry to everyone that knows her and loves her and feels snubbed, but we've got to hear what she has to say. Go ahead.
I've got to figure out a way to turn this thing off, and I don't know how. So that's sort of my problem. Okay. So
while you regather your thoughts,
yes.
I have an addition that just happened this morning. A person said that I connected with yesterday said, I recommend that you listen to Lewy Body Roller Coaster podcast. Lewy Body Roller Coaster. I cannot tell you who the host is. I couldn't find her name readily. But I just clicked on the most recent podcast. So this is the week of August 25th, 2025. Don't know when someone's going to watch this one in replay and they just go, I like that lady in the corner there with the turquoise shirt. I'm going to click on that one and hear about it. So I'm letting you know that at that time, the most recent podcast, the lady said that her husband passed very quickly and he had decided to donate his brain to science, I believe, because of that disease. But then she decided to continue her podcast, or maybe she started afterwards. I'm not sure which. But this is a gentleman named Curry, Curry, I guess. And he just sounds like he was raised on a ranch, and he talks about his own accent. And he goes, I am so sorry that last time, he said, I sounded like I was drunk. And she said, but that's when your wife, Linda, took you to the emergency room because you were so slurred and they were wondering what was going on. Little by little, they discovered what you have. And he goes, yeah, Lewy body. And he goes, but I don't feel that way today. He says, I'll try not to be that way. And she goes, I think that's part of this podcast. You don't try to be that way. But she said, you wanted to talk about your funeral plans that you and Linda made together. She goes, how did you start that? His response, oh, it's a treasure just to listen to it in the background. You might enjoy doing that yourself. And he says, well, they advertised in the newspaper that they'd give you a free meal if you listened to their pitch about getting married. And he said, it was a good meal. It was tri-tip burnt ends and this, and that. And he says, it was great. And they told us they were getting it from our favorite place to go to eat barbecue. So we knew we were going to love it, and it was just great. But he talked about the information that was coming at himself and his wife was too much. And they decided partway through, we need to stand up, we need to go, we need to breathe, and we need to come back again. I don't know if they had a meal again, with our daughter to listen with us. And I thought, wow, that just really makes sense. So he texted her that morning and said, let's get another podcast in. I got something to talk about. So, and different dementias are very different. But as far as I know, every dementia means at some point your brain is not going to continue your life because it is a disease, because it degenerates. So you have gathered your thoughts. Go right ahead.
Yes, and with that in mind, if a dementia runs in your family, or just to be prepared, there are special addendums to put on your living will and your advance directive, so that should dementia come, you've already made your decisions while you're of sound mind. Because when you try and make them when you're not, nothing happens.
That's clear back to Perry Mason. Being of sound mind and body, do hereby bequeath. Is that the right word? Bequeath my earthly goods and all my debts to the kid that is either going to love me because it was all going good, or is going to go, oh, why did I get stuck with this? Anyway, thank you. That was really wonderful to know about from a doula who comes in before things are just falling apart, including a perfectly rational, intelligent, trained human being, even in death, medical, dementias, caregiving, who goes, and then it was all different because this was my parent, my spouse, my sibling that I was always going to take care of, who's much younger than me. It's not supposed to happen this way, or we couldn't agree. The people who still wielded power, we just couldn't agree. Everyone was super emotional or was distancing themselves from the emotions. It just changed, the landscape. So yeah.
Right. And in my back pocket is a mediator. So especially for elder care situations, when I can say, Katerina, come with me here, come join me in this situation, so we can get this family able to work together cohesively, so that things can get done for the patient and themselves in a more peaceful manner. And so I get to do all these beautiful things and get to be at the bedside as they've come to hospice, their terminal diagnosis has been determined. I cannot do doula work without being involved in hospice, because I don't give and I don't prescribe the medications that the patient needs when they're actively dying. But I can teach, especially with my 45 years of nursing experience, I can teach what these medicines do. And the fact that although some people have said, well, my mom went on hospice and they gave her a dose of morphine and she died. No. In this case, it's a matter of the disease took them and they were calm enough to let it. Because it just depends on what you're seeing. If you have a dying person that's thrashing in bed and their face is all contorted, that you can tell that they're in pain, and yet you have a family member saying, you can't give the morphine, you can't give the morphine. That's the most heartbreaking thing that I've had to witness. So letting them know how important it is for that body to relax, for them to let go of this earth so that their energy can transfer to wherever it goes next. And I embrace all religions and all nationalities, knowing that they've all decided what happens next for themselves.
I have to agree with that. This is just from being a caregiver, that it was just a non-issue. It wasn't that I had to decide it. It was a non-issue.
Yeah.
Your core values, your way of living, how I don't know, the place where you poured the most of your marbles, of I am certain of this. All of that was not an issue with whether I was going to be present for this person, be quieter, be more interactive, move things 3 inches to the right, now 2 inches to the left, just because that was what they were looking at. They were not very mobile, and it was just like, I'm an extension of their body. I'm taking on what is in this situation. And yes, family members or neighbors, close friends, people who cared very much, people who took on a role that maybe someone else didn't agree with, as far as a decision maker or an opinion giver. It was always, but the client. What about the client? What's going on here? And if I needed to, if things were popping like popcorn in a hot pot, then I was just making sure that there was comfort, and that everyone knew that whatever is going on, I'm here for the purposes that will be most helpful, and not try to fix anything or make it more comfortable for me. That was just, I was on duty. I was the butler. Very good, sir. Just to serve, just there to serve. So I love hearing this. It brings me back a bit. Are you doing this like now? I mean, this is ongoing for you.
Yes. So one of the clients that I have right now is 97 years old. I started working with her a year and a half ago. She said to me, and I said, well, when it's time for hospice, we'll get you on hospice. I said, you can get 29 extra days of a healthful dying process if you've worked with hospice. And she said, what if I don't want 29 more days? So, it's a beautiful experience to be able to work with these people, and to be able to do all that planning. One of the things when my mother-in-law passed was I was frantic to figure out what she would wear in her casket. Well, so one of the first things I ask my client is, what would you like to wear when you leave the house? So that nobody else has to worry about it. My mom specifically said to me, whatever you do, I don't want shoes on. It's like, okay, Mom, we can do that. So it's just getting those wishes out so that everybody knows what your desires are. My dad is a big party animal. He's 90 years old. I'm going to start recommending that he have a live wake and not an after death wake, so that he can enjoy
So he's at the party.
party.
Wow.
because you
Okay.
can.
Okay. And
There
she's
we go.
coming back. There you go. Good job. I mean, you got it now. You look, you click, and you're back. Okay. So you're going to recommend that he consider this.
Yeah.
And what would that look like, Dad? What
Right.
would you want? And it's like, I would really like a steel drum playing. I want the guy to look rusty or something. Be like, I mean, for
Yeah.
you could be like, well, of course, or you could be like, never would have thought of that. Okay, you got it.
Definitely. When you get those kind of things, it's like, wow, I wouldn't have gotten that after you'd passed because I didn't even know. So those are big things that you can help with. And another thing that I'm a firm believer in, if someone says, oh, I hope they're alive for such and so happening. Now, why wait? If your symptoms are such, somebody was waiting for their anniversary that was a month and a half away. And it's like, it would be in your best interest to realize that time is only relevant in this time and space, but not in anywhere else in the rest of the universe. So let's fuzzy that line and have that party now when your symptoms are under control. You can enjoy a meal that you're envisioning being able to have, when in a month and a half, you might not be here for this. Let's celebrate it now.
Not just having dessert before dinner, have dessert for breakfast, for heaven's sakes. Just break the mold and go, oh, that's because, I mean, I do that already. If you have kids who have gotten married, who have families, I invented fakes giving, FAKES. So we fake Thanksgiving. It could be a couple of weeks after, could be a couple weeks before, because that way I know that we have no living grandparents. On the other side, we have, my grandparents. On the other side, up until recently, they actually had a living great grandparent, etc. And it's like, no, let's, give them the actual date for the great grandparent, the grandparents, and we between us only have one grandparent left for the kids, and it's just like, we'll have it when we have it. And so why wouldn't you do that too? It's like, oh, I hope that. So
the celebration,
the
celebration is much more important than the day of the celebration.
Yes.
Perfect.
Don't let the calendar, don't let the calendar dictate.
Nope.
Those relationships. This is a great moment to find out why that other guy is on the screen. We share a last name, and we have shared 41 years.
Ooh.
And
today's our actual anniversary. And
we celebrated it yesterday when we had time.
So we celebrate by running a show together, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yay.
And so our friend Russ Hedge, and
hi,
he's
Russ.
commenting. Russ
I'm
tuned
so
in.
glad.
So Russ, one of the things that he does is a number of different live shows. In fact, we just finished with one that we do together called The Experience Local. We have one on Wednesdays. And his first foray into doing a podcast or doing any recording like that was with his mother in memory care. And he called it Happy Moments with Mama. And Russ was he's been and is a worship leader in his church. So music has been a part of their family. And so I'm sure, Veronica, we could hear stories as you're working with caregivers and families about how important music is. And that's where it comes along. And so I've got a guitar here plugged in. And so, you can play the guitar. And you could sing along with it. But if you don't know how to play guitar, or if you have issues with arthritis, so when you have a parent that's in their 90s, that child could be in their 70s, 60s, and have issues. And so a friend of mine, Travis Perry, and he was he actually had won a deal on Shark Tank. So Travis was a longtime guitar teacher, musician, and he was trying to teach his daughter how to play guitar. And because he had been teaching guitar for a long time, most people quit within the first month, because putting your fingers on the strings in the right place is hard. It doesn't sound right. And so he was trying to teach his daughter how to play guitar. And he had this idea about an assistive device to help people learn how to play guitar. And so he told his daughter about it. She was frustrated. He was frustrated. And he told her about this magic gizmo to help people learn. And he's just like, make one for me, Daddy. And so that day they took some rubber bands and some popsicle sticks and made the first chord buddy. And this is what it looks like. So this is and he was also from Alabama, Southern Alabama, and his whole thing was, we want 100% of this made in the U.S. So this is all made in Alabama, and so it just attaches to the guitar. I'll just put that on. And then once you have that attached, now you just push the buttons. And if you have dexterity issues like arthritis, you could play in whatever way makes sense. You don't have to play this way, but and so now people can play guitar by just pushing a button. So if they're a caregiver and music is important to the person they're caring with, then maybe they've never played an instrument before, but they can get the chord buddy. And many people have a guitar sitting in their closet or under their bed, or maybe it was the person they're caring for. Maybe it was their guitar. And so, but if you get the kit, there's a tuner, because instruments that are out of tune aren't that much fun to play. There's actually a
I don't like listening to out of tune.
There's actually a book that's a learning system, and then they have a song book that comes with it, with over 100 different songs, all kinds of styles, and you just follow the buttons, the colored buttons that are on there. And so it becomes so now it becomes very easy for people to play. And so many different songs that whether you have played before or whether you're a singer, you can probably get by. If you've sung around the campfire with your family member, nobody's going to know whether you're ready for America's Got Talent or not. But the whole thing is that it makes it easy to make music with the guitar. And I just think about, there was a story with a man who, his father played guitar his whole life. and wanted so much for his son to play, but he didn't, because it was hard, and he wasn't interested, and he didn't do it. After his father passed, he found out about Chord Buddy, and he bought one, and he dragged the guitar out of the closet and put a Chord Buddy onto it, got it tuned up, and he sent a video to Travis, who invented Chord Buddy, and said, "I know my father is looking down on me now and smiling because I'm playing his guitar." And we've had stories about people with neuropathy, people with nerve damage, veterans who have come back from the Mideast, from Afghanistan, from Iraq, who have been subject to the improvise explosive devices on the road and been injured, and said, I used to play guitar all the time. I never thought I would play again. And they only have one finger left, and yet they can play. And there's just like, it's added so much into their life.
Yeah.
And and this is, Veronica, I'd like to come back to you, because I'd just like to hear about how maybe music has been a part of the lives that you've impacted through being a nurse and now a certified end-of-life doula.
It's interesting that you should bring up the music, especially for Alzheimer's patients. In their decline, sometimes music is the one thing that can get them into the moment, to be able to connect and then be able to share it. A friend of mine was sitting at the bedside with her husband. Actually, they'd made it into a chair onto the couch, and she'd turned on some music, and all of a sudden she just said, "Isn't that beautiful music?" And he just says, "Hasn't spoken in weeks." "Yes, it is. Thank you." Connection. Wow. Connection. And that's what music can do at the end of life. Now, my boys know that I have a playlist that I expect for in my dying process. Because if you turn on the beautiful funeral music or the church music that I was exposed to earlier, I told my sons I'd just run away. So I have a list. Stairway to Heaven, Highway to Hell, all the
there's
all
a
the
divergence
just all the differences. And then I started listening to some country music, and I listened to some other alternative music, and it's like, wow, I can do that. So yeah, music is a beautiful thing to include in the vigil time. And even before. So when you're in that stabilization phase, when you can still get things accomplished, take the time to listen to your favorite music. There's all the different channels that you can find your favorite song on that we didn't used to be able to do, right? You can go into channels that have music all the way back to the 30s and 40s that you couldn't still find anywhere. And so that's a beautiful way that you can celebrate music now. Yeah. What do you want?
I didn't hear you list any dirges. No, it's time to be really sad. No, you're not like, no, this is going to pour into me. This is going to be my moment to go, yes, that is nice. Thank you to yourself, because you made the decision. I love the self-determination, I am living into my last act of my life. And I've decided this is what I want. I'm going to share one quick thing. My daughter gave me, our middle daughter gave me for Mother's Day a prompted journal. and,
Mhm.
the first
Mhm.
car, the blah, 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 blah. I'm almost done filling it out because I'm going to give
Oh,
it to
good.
her for her
Mhm.
birthday. But
Mm.
there are pages that specifically say, put a photo here, put a photo here. And I told
Ah.
my husband just recently that I'd actually, as we went through everything for 2 moves that we've made in the last 3 years,
Ooh.
I actually picked out some pictures of myself that I went, that one is pleasant. That one looks good. I don't put pictures of myself out on Facebook. I mean, I just don't. And it doesn't happen. But I have photographs and I'm like, I would rather, if anybody's going to see anything, these are them. And if anyone is going to post, we just said goodbye to mom, it will be that middle daughter, because she has always been the note writer. She's always been the, put together something with music and pictures. And I'm just like, and here are the pictures that you can choose, knowing that I will give the thumbs up. you have
Love it. Love
you
it.
have done, like, would she have, oh, I know that she would, because she wrote it right here in that prompted
Yep.
journal. These are the
Yep.
pictures that I don't go, oh no, not that one. Okay, the
Right.
end.
Yeah. It's so true. And I don't know if you have the same one that my mom and dad got, but my sister gave them a My Story book that you can do that in. It's called My Story. I don't know which one you used, but there are. So in the stabilization phase, that stage where you've gotten over the shock, you're still healthy enough to get work done. This is when, if you haven't done it until now, this is when you work on that. So people don't understand how important our legacy is. But people need to know the real history of the real people that lived it, because they're trying to sanitize or erase, or whatever you want to call it, history, and rewrite it the way they want it to be. But, right? So
Wow.
that makes this time so much more important, because we're going to lose all that if the actual people that were in it haven't shared it with their circle. And when do you share it? You share it now. Gather at Christmas time. Just tell them you want 15 minutes of silence so you can tell one of those important stories, so that it doesn't get lost and erased, because we need that. We
I'm to
need
the
that.
point in that book where I'm going to tell, excuse me, the unimportant stories. I'm just going to jot down, because all the prompts have been answered. I need to pull that envelope out of the box. It's in the closet on the other side of the screen, and actually stick them in there. Just, old fashioned, take a picture of the picture, stick that up there. But then there's the part of just more things that I want to tell you about. Gave a list of categories, I guess. And I just thought, it will come to my mind that I took my son to the optometrist because it was obvious, finally, to my brain. I was a teacher for 16 years. I knew that you check people's eyes. I hadn't done it for my own third child. Somehow I just missed that one. Maybe they didn't do it at school anymore. They always checked our eyes. And then finally it was making sense that this kid was saying, can someone tell me what the score is? And they're like, it's on both ends of the gymnasium. It's up there. And he's like, well, I can't see it all the way over there. Well, everyone, most people can see it. I was like, oh my goodness. And my silly little story that I thought of as I was preparing to come here was when I brought him to the optometrist, the eye doctor, whoever it was, and it was time to select the frames. And my son was reluctant. He was going to move from the kid that doesn't have to worry about what's on his face to, oh, where did I put my glasses? Did I put them away? Now everyone's going to know that I can't see what they are able to see. I'm going to be one of the glasses kids, whatever it was that was worrying him. And I turned to the doctor, and as seriously as I could, because I wasn't too worried about the doctor's opinion. Oh, I was all about my son. And I turned to the doctor and I said, Dr. So-and-so, I have a very handsome son, and he is going to need the best frames that you've got. Do you have anything that is going to look great on him? I had no idea what my son was going to think looked great. And boy, he picked out a pair that I wouldn't have picked out. And he was like, yeah, I look like a man in these glasses. They were very similar to this, just very plain, a little bit of black in them. Yeah, I'm going to look like, whatever, like he had just sprouted his first whisker or something. And I just thought, I don't know what this doctor thinks of me. Man, she's all about her son. But I wanted my son to know, I care that you feel great putting these things on and going, is this what people can see? I have no idea. Is that what leaves look like at the top of a tree? Anyway, silly little side thing.
But
that is just a legacy, a legacy to write down.
Yeah.
That someone's going to, I didn't have any memory of that, or, oh, I remember that moment. It made a difference.
Those stories that seem mundane are a part of our life. And, I was just thinking about that because as I journal in the morning, it was, 41 years ago that we got married. And so I have memories about that I put in there, right? About it was, so this was 1984. And I remember getting up and I was humming and whistling the theme from Raiders to the Lost Ark. Why, I don't know. It was just, but hey, it was a movie of the time. And, that, and whether it means something to our kids or not, it is now documented and available for them in that book.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Isn't that funny?
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're not at the end of our hour, but I want to make sure that we really emphasize where to get a hold of you and possibly why someone would get a hold of you, because you just told us that you've been working with someone for a year and a half, and I'm going to say this not professionally, I'm going to say, and they haven't died yet. Right. And it's like, well, somebody made a mistake, because aren't you supposed to come in when the breathing is labored and then you come in? And you're like a year and a half ago, because they are at a point where they know, and you are asking questions that maybe are just catching them off. So I'm actually going to read this part. I'm not sure where the C came from. Is that supposed to be in your
certified? Oh,
certified. Right. End of life doula. Yeah. Okay, great. Yes. That's where it came from. So I see the letters GYLATEOL which is spelled DOULA, givers, legacy, leaders.com. Tell me the why of the GY. Tell me the why there and why they should get a hold of you.
So there are a bunch of really, really important reasons to get a hold of me. So I've been a collaborative author of 2 best-selling books. One is called The Caregiver's Advocate. It came out a year ago, and that became a bestseller. The second, it's called The Caregiver's Advocate. We got so much feedback and so much encouragement to write another book, because it's 20 and and so they asked me to come back and write another chapter. So my first chapter is called Hospice and the End of Life Doula. And so it talks about how we work synergistically together. My second book, in the second international bestseller, called The Caregiver's Advocate Volume 2, is about assessing pain in people that can no longer talk to you, so that you can be sure that they're comfortable in every stage of their life. Because that's what the goal of care in hospice is, to be comfortable. And let's make sure that happens by giving them a direction for how to read their person. And so, yeah, that's one of the big reasons. And so the GYL is for Guiding Your Light, then an at, End of Life. And that's the name of my business. Yeah. And because it's such a long word, I used all the first letters. It's a long address, so I chose to use just the initials. So that's how that came.
Guiding Your Light at
Yes.
the End of Life.
Right. Yeah.
And
I do
is that-
remember
is
that
that
being already.
the book that you published, is that through Brave Healer Productions?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Good.
Yes.
And how do you know about that? Oh, because you're looking it up right now.
Oh, well, and it was so Laura DeFranco.
Yeah.
From there, so I've done a number of interviews, and
Oh yeah.
and so we're actually going to be doing a caregiver's book. So this is Debbie Compton.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and that book just released last
17th.
Monday.
17th. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that was just perfect. That was perfect timing. I didn't do this part on purpose.
And it's also a #1 bestseller within days.
Yeah,
on Amazon.
I believe
it's
an
just
international
beautiful.
bestseller.
Yeah.
In a number of countries. Yeah. So we put I put the link in Amazon to buy it on Amazon. Caregivers Advocate Complete Support Resources. So it's right there. Yeah. So
excellent. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Congratulations.
And feel free to get volume 1 and 2 and reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn as Veronica Shears RN. And my website is a perfect way to start. And I'd love to talk to anybody that has questions. My statement when I'm leaving someone's bedside, either the person themselves or the family: questions, comments, concerns. Share them so that everything's taken care of the way it should be.
Yay. Speak out about the simplest things. Did I do the right thing when I was there? That stayed with me for a while. Did I do the right thing? Was that supposed to happen that way? And I found an answer in one of the Barbara Carnes books.
Yes.
BK books, Barbara Carnes. Very similar. She went, but no, not similar. But you kind of ended up. She's kind of the written portion of why would I contract with a doula, because this gave me a general answer to, did I do the wrong thing when I said, the lips are so dry and they look like they're struggling to move their tongue. Can I put any water in their mouth? And the suggestion was a swab with glycerin on it, I believe. And that was for me because I wanted to give comfort. And so while she is off screen again for a moment, and hopefully she can hop back on, at which point I'll be quiet.
Yeah, we can share about Chord Buddy so people can get the
Yes,
Chord
I'm only
Buddy
going to
that
do one thing, and that is to let you know Veronica is spelled the way that I always spell Veronica. Shears, Veronica, yes, Shears with an S on the end is SCHEERS. SCHEERS. Okay, Chord Buddy.
and Chord Buddy, so people can get just the Chord Buddy itself, which fits on most guitars, even electric guitars. And
Oh yeah.
if you have steel strings, then you want the standard. If you have nylon strings, that's the guitar that there's called a Spanish guitar, classical guitar. They have nylon strings. It looks like fishing line on there on the top 3 strings. Then you need the classical edition, but you can go to thechordbuddy.com and you can get just the device for $50, or you can get the full guitar, the Perry guitar, voted best entry level guitar out there. And it'll be a complete set with the tuner, the songbooks, everything right there. And that's $350, just round figures, but thechordbuddy.com. And it's
Hello,
an
Veronica.
easy way for people to learn how to play
back,
guitar,
but I can't
or
hear
play
you.
their
I'm
own music.
sorry.
Oh, Veronica, you talk.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
I can.
But
hear
I'm
you.
not hearing you yet, so I can't tell you how that's going to come back. But just a minute to say how grateful that I am, Christine and Scott, for being in this room with you, and the beauty that's involved and the stories that I got to share.
Yes.
There's if you could, Scott, there's another there's another link called doulagivers.com, and there's a way of learning more about being a doula and the program that I was involved in on that website. So put that up for everyone to share if they can. Beautiful place, holy space, sacred. The end of life is sacred,
Yes.
and let's treat it as such. And I think I'm good. Thank you.
Yay. We're at a wonderful moment to just wrap this up. And so doulagivers.com, it's right down there. So more doula givers is good. And I feel like I wish I knew sign language, but I don't know that Veronica does either. But I want to thank my husband of 41 years today for coming in and sharing about a device that could allow a person who loves another person or is providing any sort of care for another person. They could both sit down with a guitar on their lap, and one could strum, the other could push buttons and then flip it around, all the way to having someone who hasn't played in a while because of any change in life being able to just do a concert right there in their own home that they thought that part of their life was over with. So, and everything in between, the Chord Buddy, which is spelled C-H-O-R-D, not a cord of wood, but a chord on the guitar. So thank you, Scott. Thank you, Veronica. I'm really glad that I showed up on my anniversary to do this show. We celebrated yesterday. Thank you.